For decades, the Directorate of Military Intelligence stood at the heart of Britain's secretive war planning and defense strategy. Emerging in the late 19th century under the British War Office, which was the central authority responsible for administering the British Army, it represented a new understanding that battles could not be won by force of arms alone. Information, insight, and analysis would prove as vital as any rifle or artillery piece. Over time, this directorate would evolve into a series of numbered sections, each with a unique specialty, collectively shaping the very nature of military intelligence. From detailed cartographic studies to clandestine codebreaking, propaganda efforts, or coordinating escape routes for stranded operatives. These sections, known as MI1 through MI19, laid the groundwork for modern intelligence methods and institutions. However, they often grew out of the demands of the world wars, realigning functions and merging as conflicts evolved. Eventually, the Directorate's distinct sections would either vanish, merge with other bodies, or evolve into modern agencies such as MI5, MI6, or GCHQ. At the forefront stood MI1, established during World War I. It was a multifaceted department responsible for codebreaking and communication security, handling the intricate work of interpreting intercepted enemy signals. Within MI1, there were subsections, each tasked with a specific role. MI1A oversaw distribution of reports, MI1B specialized in interception and cryptanalysis, MI1C dealt with Secret Service activities, MI1D ensured communication security, MI1E focused on wireless telegraphy, MI1F managed personnel and finance, and MI1G handled security, deception, and counterintelligence. This structure provided a comprehensive approach to handling intelligence data. Figures like Malcolm Vivian Hay headed MI1B, while notable cryptanalysts like Oliver Strachey and John Tiltman worked within MI1 before it merged with the Royal Navy's Room 40, which was officially part of the Naval Intelligence Division 25, in 1919 to form the Government Code and Cipher School, the predecessor of GCHQ. Although MI1 itself was not permanent, its legacy in signals and code-breaking laid the foundation for Britain's future cryptographic prowess. In parallel, MI2 originally tackled geographic information, subdividing into MI2A and MI2B, which examined diverse regions from the Americas, the Ottoman Empire, North Africa, and the Balkans. After the First World War, its focus shifted toward Russian and Scandinavian intelligence. Over time, MI2's tasks were reshuffled, and by 1941, its responsibilities were absorbed into MI3, ensuring that no critical regional insights were lost. MI3, in turn, began with a geographical purview that included areas like France, Belgium, Germany, the Netherlands, and Scandinavia, divided into subsections such as MI3A through MI3E. Following World War I, MI3's responsibilities adapted to monitor European affairs, eventually covering the Baltic states, the USSR, and Scandinavia. Under the guidance of figures like Major David Talbot Rice, MI3's analyses influenced British strategy in Eastern Europe. By 1945, these European intelligence functions folded into MI6, aligning with Britain's broader transition towards centralized foreign intelligence. Other sections took on similarly specialized roles. MI4 dedicated itself to the emerging practice of aerial reconnaissance, analyzing photographs and using them to predict enemy movements. MI5 and MI6 are the well-known divisions of the British intelligence community, both with their own mission statements. MI5 is tasked with British internal security and counterintelligence, while MI6 is primarily focused on gathering foreign intelligence. Now, MI7 handled propaganda and the shaping of public opinion, crucially controlling narratives during wartime without drawing undue attention to itself. Through these units, the Directorate orchestrated a subtle interplay of deception, security, and raw data gathering to shape public opinion, and were rather successful. We have made a separate video on this specific section. If you are interested, you should definitely look it up on the channel. MI8, or Military Intelligence Section 8, was integral to Britain's signals intelligence efforts during the World Wars, functioning under the Directorate of Military Intelligence within the War Office. Its primary purpose lay in monitoring, securing, and exploiting the electromagnetic spectrum. focusing on the interception and analysis of enemy wireless communications. Central to MI-8's mission was its relationship with the Radio Security Service, or RSS. The RSS effectively served as the civilian counterpart to the military's Y service. While the Y service comprised a network of military-run intercept stations dedicated to collecting enemy transmissions, the RSS expanded this capability through a widespread civilian network, helping ensure no signal slipped through the cracks. By mid-1941, up to 10,000 intercept logs per day were being processed through Arkley, the RSS headquarters, and then forwarded to the code-breaking center at Bletchley Park. This flow of raw intercept data from RSS and the Y service into Bletchley Park was crucial, supplying the cryptanalysts there with the raw materials needed to break enemy ciphers. The effectiveness of the RSS became particularly evident in May 1941, when some of its personnel, working independently, succeeded in breaking certain Abwehr codes before Bletchley Park had done so. This achievement triggered a dispute over who would control the RSS. Ultimately, it was transferred under the authority of the Secret Intelligence Service, also known as MI6, providing that agency with a dedicated communication and interception arm, one it previously lacked. In an entirely different operational sphere, MI9 took responsibility for aiding Allied personnel trapped behind enemy lines. This section not only provided tools like miniature compasses, concealed maps, and disguised equipment, but also guided the creation of escape networks and safe houses. MI9 ensured that downed pilots or captured soldiers had a fighting chance to return home. During World War II, it trained servicemen in escape and evasion techniques, worked with resistance organizations, and orchestrated clandestine escape routes in occupied Europe. After the war, as large-scale organized escapes ceased, MI9's activities wound down, but the creativity and human ingenuity it displayed remained legendary. MI10 emerged at a critical time, established around mid-1940, focusing on weaponry and technical analysis. Initially, it broke down into MI10A, MI10B, and MI10C, each examining aspects like enemy armored fighting vehicles, engineering equipment, and transportation. After 1945, this distribution changed to cover weapons technology, radar technology, guided weapons, and chemical warfare. While one source suggested MI10 merged into MI16, it in fact continued working at least into 1961, publishing detailed equipment recognition handbooks that guided British forces in identifying and countering enemy material. MI10 demonstrated the Directorate's capacity for long-term adaptation, extending its analytical life beyond the immediate war years. Similarly, MI11 handled field security, protecting British forces from enemy infiltration and subversion. It took over functions previously aligned with the Field Security Police and, ultimately, was disbanded after World War II. Despite its relatively short lifespan, MI11's work underscored the importance of on-the-ground intelligence and internal security measures in the heat of conflict. MI12 dealt with censorship, controlling what information left or entered Britain. Although conclusive evidence is not present, they might have worked closely with MI7. Its officers carefully checked correspondence, regulated sensitive details in the press, and made sure no valuable secrets slipped through civilian communication channels. MI13's role remains ambiguous, with few public records detailing its work. Some speculate that its responsibilities merged with others or remained classified. Their obscurity only deepens the intrigue around these lesser-known MI siblings. Germany's prominence as an adversary in both world wars led to MI14 branching off from MI3. MI14 specialized in intelligence regarding Germany, and its importance rose sharply during the Second World War. This unit proved adept at gathering useful information, sometimes from creative sources such as pigeons dropped behind enemy lines with spying kits, an intelligence channel codenamed Columba. Although MI14 later faded, the expertise gleaned from its work fed into post-war structures and eventually passed on to MI6 as global intelligence needs shifted. MI15, another specialized unit, initially handled aerial photography before that function moved to the Air Ministry. It then focused on coordinating intelligence about enemy anti-aircraft capabilities. MI-15's evolving duties reflected the fluid nature of intelligence work, where tasks shifted as technology advanced and priorities changed. MI-16 was formed relatively late in the war to gather and analyze scientific and technical intelligence, complementing the work of sections like MI-10. Where MI-10 focused on enemy weapons and equipment, MI-16 broadened the scope to include emerging technologies and scientific developments. This meant investigating advanced enemy research programs such as radar systems, jet propulsion, and rocket technology, assessing their implications for Britain's defense. MI-16's work was integral to understanding and countering innovations that could shift the balance of power on the battlefield and in the skies. After the war, as Britain's scientific and technical intelligence requirements became more complex, these functions were eventually absorbed into other specialized technical and scientific intelligence agencies, leaving MI-16 to fade from the organizational charts. Public documentation on MI-17 is scarce. Unlike the more operationally focused units, MI-17 appears to have been concerned with administrative, personnel, or liaison tasks within the Directorate of Military Intelligence structure. It may have coordinated communications between different MI sections or ensured the smooth flow of intelligence products up the chain of command. The same goes for MI-18. There is little to no evidence found of the full operational existence of this section. MI-19 played a more documented and tangible role, focusing on the interrogation of enemy prisoners of war and detainees to glean valuable intelligence. By systematically questioning captured personnel, MI-19 sought operational details, strategic insights, and technical knowledge that could prove decisive to the war effort. They developed specialized interrogation techniques and managed facilities dedicated to extracting information from prisoners. One key location was the Combined Services Detailed Interrogation Center. Gathering and analyzing the results of these interrogations, MI-19 contributed significantly to the intelligence picture that shaped Allied decision-making. After World War II, as the large-scale interrogation of enemy POWs wound down, MI-19's role diminished. Like many of its sister sections, its functions were either discontinued or dispersed into the broader intelligence landscape, particularly as Britain adjusted to the post-war geopolitical climate. While some sections' histories are better documented than others, all played a role in the tapestry of British intelligence. Their responsibilities often overlapped or merged, ensuring that no single failure would cripple the entire system. The result was a complex, adaptive network where knowledge could move between units when required and where the elimination of one function could be offset by the development of another. Even the less documented MI units, or those that simply never expanded beyond a niche area, served their purpose in specific theaters or for certain projects before fading quietly into obscurity. By the mid-20th century, Britain's intelligence landscape transformed again. The old system of numbered MI sections gradually gave way to more centralized agencies and a reduced emphasis on the original MI designations. The Directorate of Military Intelligence itself no longer exists in its original form. The responsibility for domestic security and counterintelligence remained with MI5, foreign intelligence continued under MI6, and the cryptographic and signals efforts advanced into GCHQ. Many analytical, geographical, and technical duties once shouldered by MI2, MI3, MI10, and others were absorbed into the Defense Intelligence Staff, now reformed to Defense Intelligence, and similar integrated bodies, enabling more coherent, if less compartmentalized, intelligence work. Understanding each MI unit's role, from MI1's cryptanalysis subsections to MI14's Germany-focused reporting and MI15's anti-aircraft intelligence coordination, showcases how information can shape warfare, policy, and national security itself. Though the Directorate and many of its sections have long since vanished into history, their legacy endures in the refined, highly specialized agencies that carry Britain's intelligence efforts into the modern age, still guided by the lessons and foundations laid down by those original numbered units.